Patent wars, greed, and company just flat out quitting. All seems bleak at the end of last episode. However, it's not all fire and brimstone, for you see there was another sport in a similar predicament not too long ago. It was difficult to learn, expensive, dangerous, and only of interest to a core group of enthusiasts. On top of that, the industry in general was hostile, and they were also banned from any of the places they can actually ride. That, of course, I am talking about snowboarding. This week I'm going to talk about the history of snowboarding and how it became a multi-billion-dollar industry and why I think that is relevant to the story of electric unicycle.
And the one common failure shared by all these companies that stood in the way of the electric unicycle ever becoming popular. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and hit that like button.
And these are nothing more than my personal opinions and do not represent any official statement or position from any electric unicycle or snowboarding company. So if you're an attorney, please go away unless you like electric unicycle, in which case we're kind of cool. Although snowboarding have declined somewhat from the boom year of the 2000s, it still constitutes a solid third of the multi-billion-dollar winter mountain sports market. The leading board manufacturer Burton reported $350 million in revenue in 2018, and yes, it is still a winter Olympic event. However, it wasn't so long ago when snowboarding was considered to be niche. Province of angst-filled teenager, banned at most mountain and hated out by most skier. It is in this past where I was reminded of where electric unicycle is today.
The origin of snowboard came in the form of snurfer, which was invented in 1965. And like Dean Kamen of the Segway transporter fame, the snurfer came from a lone inventor, Sherman Popin, who made the prototype by cross-bracing two K-bar skis together and attach a rope in front of the board to help with steering. He later patented and marketed the snurfer and proceeded to sell more than 1 million units over the next 15 years.
However, the lack of binding and steering by rope would seriously limit the snurfer's ability to ride the entire mountain. However, in time, enthusiasts who love the snurfer as kids will grow up to iterate on the original design and create more capable and more advanced boards that would expand its capability. They will also create the companies that eventually evolve into all the well-known modern-day snowboarding houses. Similar performance issue also plagued the original Segway personal transporter. Although the self-balanced two-wheel design coupled with a control yoke made the wheel easy to pick up, its inability to lean to corner also means that its stability at greater speed is greatly compromised, and as a result, the wheel is slow, unpractical, and worse, boring to ride.
The 75-76 winter season was often pegged as the start of the modern snowboarding, since that was when the Winter Stick Company first started to sell its board. Founded by Dmitry Milovic, who had dropped out of Cornell 2 years prior to pursue his obsession with snowboarding. The board Milovic developed and patented had more resemblance to a surfboard than the ski snurfer was inspired from. The rope was eliminated, but it still lacked the binding we would associate with modern snowboard. A primitive form of which, made out of bicycle inner tube stable to the board, was used by Jack Carpenter to win a snurfer competition in 1977.
Who will of course go on to start his own snowboarding company that very same season using his middle name, Burton. He would go on to sell all of 6 boards that same season, all of which bear close resemblance to the original snurfer, rope and all. However, unlike Milovic, who would quit a year later, Jack would not give up quite so easily.
The Segway also turned out to be a commercial flop, but in the intervening year, the self-balancing technology would continue to evolve quietly and was adapted to the unicycle in the backroom of bicycle garages by enthusiasts.
This here was, you've probably seen a lot of these.
Oh yeah, the
market.
unicycle type of standing.
Self-balancing, so I built that as in the unicycle parlance, it's called a BC wheel.
And here's where the story between snowboarding and the electric unicycle began to diverge. Despite their differences, Carpenter and his main West Coast rival, Tom Sin, both share an absolute unwavering love for snowboarding. They both ride and compete personally and had an outside presence during the early day of snowboarding when it was largely banned. Where riding means covertly hiking to the top of the mountain and then trying to come down while dodging ski patrols. They also knew the pain of not having places to ride personally and did everything they can to find and create venues for snowboarders, including building their own terrain park and setting up competition at resorts normally not open to snowboarders.
And it is in these competitions that they found the magic of the half-pipe competition, which is to this day still the most popular Olympic and X-Games snowboarding event. These competitions not only introduced the public at large to the sports, but for the first time the soaring aerials was able to convey the sense of beauty and majesty that previously could only be appreciated by riders before. The beautiful slow motion shot of the snowboarder effortlessly twisting through the air also told a very different story than the rebellious and unruly image that kept them off the mountain.
Instead, it was beautiful, something to be appreciated regardless of how you feel about the sport. Like a gymnast on a parallel bar or a triple axel from an ice skater. It was able to demonstrate the otherwise abstract sense of beauty and excitement from riding a snowboard to a viewer that is just sitting on their couch. And it also conveyed another message. Something beautiful ought to be preserved and cultivated.
I felt the same sense of flow riding my Nightbot Z10, carving through the traffic, twisting, leaning to corner, just as I do snowboarding, shifting my weight and weaving through the trees. However, unlike snowboarding, I don't feel that we have an equivalent way to demonstrate that which we love about the electric unicycle. Furthermore, not only are we missing the poetry, but I think we're missing the one who's even capable of finding it.
What bothered me the most isn't the patent dispute, the lack of public awareness, or even outright bans in parts of the world, because all of that stuff could be overcome as snowboarding had demonstrated. What bothered me more is the lack of passionate people behind the companies that make and sell these wheels. Now, I'm not saying that they don't exist, I don't know, but it's just that I have seen no evidence of it so far.
Jason McNeil of Ewheel wrote a long and thoughtful post on the EUC forum in response to my last video, which I greatly appreciated since he had no doubt repeated himself many times in the past and is just tired of it by this point. But this is what happened when you're passionate about something. You couldn't help but obsessively browse the forum and talk to anyone who will listen to you whenever you can. On the other hand, who are the people behind companies like Nightbot, Godway, or even Kingston? The only comments I got back from any of the companies was from InMotion, and I read, the main product line of InMotion would always be electric unicycle. The new wheel is under developing. Let's wait for it. And that was it. There was a photo of Shigeru Miyamoto playing a video game with two boys at a convention. This image told me all I need to ever know about Nintendo as a company. It is 100 times more effective than 1,000 press releases. It shows the passion Nintendo have for making great games. in ways no simple words can ever convey. Now, what would be the equivalent for electric unicycles? Sorry for another rambly post. If you bear with me all the way to the end, I greatly appreciate your time. Since the last video, I have gotten quite a bit of additional information in regards to the whole crazy patent issue, and will make a follow-up/correction video in the future. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until the next one, thank you!